Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to round 4 of the Queensland GPS First 15 Rugby competition, broadcasting you today from sunny Miskin Street playing fields of the Brisbane Boys College. My name is Nick Darvaniza. Joining me today is Rob Matthews. Rob, welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks so much, Nick. It's absolutely fantastic to be here, mate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, Rob, for a number of different reasons. I think it's going to be a wonderful day of rugby. Of course, it's such high stakes for both teams at this point in the season. We're only halfway through, but it is getting to the crunch point.
Absolutely is. It's a short season, this GPS rugby season, and no fun series. Every match is important.
Right, I guess let's head into the recap of the rounders. Just coming away with a tight win over Churchie, only getting that win in the final few minutes, holding out a Churchie sort of pick and drives to win this match, 15-14. Now across town, Nudgee College had a forward-dominated match, just getting the cookies over a talented Toowoomba by posing questions of the rest of the competition as a try here to reach John Pasatoa, the new fly half. And then our team today, Brisbane Boys, showing some absolute firepower down the left wing. They ran to a big, heavy win over Brisbane Grammar School, 40-7 at the same ground last week. So they're in good form coming into an important clash today. And finally, our last match of the round, Ipswich Grammar School at the Southport School, pulling off a ripper upset to come across and have their second win over Southport in 2 years, and a feat that you don't see very often. As Thomas Casey streaks away here for the try. Yeah, 29-27 result. Very, very good result for an Ipswich Grammar team who might have been struggling with consistency so far. So now we look across the scores from the round that was. Of course, Rob's headline for me is that massive upset between Ipswich Grammar School over the Southport School. Huge
at 29-20 Ippy Grammar away from home down the M1. That was a tremendous result, and it also set up the battle and the storyline for this match. It's basically Southport's season is on the line in round 4. Yeah, it's going to take everything they can for a BBC team in great form themselves. The big win over Brisbane Grammar School, 40-7. Absolutely right. It was an impressive showing. Gregory Terrace as well impressed Churchie, who did a little bit better than some of their doubters and some people may have expected this year. Really pushed Terrace, and after leading 14-5 earlier. Yeah, that's right. And then a huge defensive showing from Gregory Terrace at the end. They really earned their points in that match. And then, of course, Nudgee College preserved their undefeated season with a 17-14 win over Grammar School. Looking now to the table, Nudgee College sit alone atop on 6 points with 3 matches and 3 wins. A points differential of 38, a bit lower than some of the teams below them. It's an impressive result as well, but down we've got the School and Brisbane Boys College, our 2 teams today, sitting tied in with Gregory Terrace as well. The important thing to note there, though, of course, is that Brisbane Boys College, they've had a bye, so they're actually undefeated, and they're 4 from a possible 4 points on the ladder. So they and Nudgee College, for all intents and purposes, are neck and neck at the moment. Yeah, win today for BBC. They would have the side running on the track to their first since 1954. Across, looking through the mid-table now, Gregory Terrace, Anglican Grammar School, and Ipswich Grammar School, all sort of teams that have the talent to really challenge the teams ahead of them. And there's no easy game in GPS rugby, as you mentioned, Rob. Absolutely right. Grammar School just below them, also sharing 5th spot. Only the but we saw the result last week, it's a good Nudgee side that they can challenge anyone on their day. Brisbane Grammar School, they haven't had the wins they would have wanted yet in this season, and none from 2 and 3 respectively. But schoolboy rugby, anything can happen on the day. Any team can step up on the day. They shouldn't be discounted either. Of course, Miskin Oval is our place we're coming to you from today. One of the looking grounds in GPS rugby, I think. Conditions are beautifully safe, not a drop in the sky, and a handy breeze, Rob. A handy breeze. Just looking at the trees, it swirls around here. We're down low in a bit of a bowl at Brisbane Boys College, so we can't actually. I wouldn't say any teams really got the advantage of the weather at the moment, Nick. It's just a fast, hard track, and it should be good for some entertaining rugby. No, but as the afternoon does roll by, we do see the wind does pick up, as it does all over Brisbane. And as you look at this camera, what a shot of Miskin. Beautiful and green as the crowds in support on his sidelines. Yeah, consistently turn out a beautiful here at BBC. Staff do a great job. Even down to painted on the field, it's a fantastic show for a schoolboy comp. And I think it's now a ground that's really befitting of. Well, I guess maybe we'll go to the team list and Rob. I think we should, Nick. Yeah, it's about time. So I'll start off with the BBC home team. In the front row, Prince Taugaeli, Joe Avali and Reese Van Neck make up BBC's front row.
In the second row, some tall locks in Jacob Brown and the very talented Trevor Hosea. In the row, Devon Tollier 4 and Tom make up 6 and 7, with Xavier Velatapui at number 8. In the Ruin Peter making his first team debut today, matching young Carter Gordon at the fly half. On the wings, Shaden Stevens and Josh Russell. In the centres, Weiwei Roaren and Cullen Yamanu, of course, making his transition from number 8. At fullback, young Jack Bowen. And coached by Shane Drum.
It's a talented side, but they'll be up against another talented side as well today. The Southport School had that loss last week, but they've impressed so far. Egan Siggs, Tyrell Kapua and Zane Nongor make up the front row. Tom Taylor and Tom Van der Scaife, in the lock, so the two Toms, and they have been dominant, two big lads. Me, Lachlan Vine, Reno Gerard make up the row. Reno has done some damaging things so far in this competition. Spencer Jeans and Campbell and Paratar make up the halves. Max Burns and Lotario Nona are our wingers for Southport today. Noah Lolicio and Ronan Carpi are the centres, and Max Dowd will be captaining the side from the back, coached by Mike Wallace. And I had a chat to Mike earlier today, Nick, and I was asking him, it's a big match today, if he was happy with the team's preparation. And he says he was. They trained well during the week, but at the end of the day, schoolboy rugby, we know that it can pop some surprises on us. And he was saying he's as a fan of rugby, he's as an interested passenger as the rest of us, and just potentially just with a little more knowledge behind the scenes. But apart from that, he's looking forward to a game of rugby.
Yeah, I think there's no one more knowledgeable than Mike Wallace, obviously with so much experience with the Australian schoolboys team over the years, and really a wonderful asset to the Southport rugby program as they go into a big game. Southport, of course, not a lot of changes enforced in this team. Only the one as centre Cohen Dovey is ruled out with a minor strain. He should be this week. Ronan Carpi shifts in from the wing into outside centre, with Lotario Nona coming up from Southport's very, very talented second 15. So fit in easily there.
I think they'll be missing much as well. And while we're talking, Nick, as well, it's certainly worth mentioning, especially for knowledgeable rugby fans out there, the coaching staff at BBC as well. Very talented. So Shane Drum, Queensland Reds assistant coach, he's the head coach of that team. Ably assisted by a who's who of rugby in Queensland. Totai Kefu and Van Humphreys both need no interest, assist him with the forwards. Steve Nance, the Wallabies strength and conditioning coach in the Rod McQueen era, tremendously highly regarded in Australian rugby. And El Winslow has just been named to assist with Brisbane City in the upcoming NRC, and he's been assisted the very strong GPS side in the local Queensland Premier Rugby competition as well. So that is an absolutely stellar coaching.
It's a dream coaching that should turn other programs around Brisbane green with envy, if you pardon the pun.
I absolutely will pardon the pun, Nick. Nothing like a good pun when behind a mic. I absolutely appreciate it. So look at that. Good Southport down the M1. Everyone's clearly stuck around, and they've waited for the the first 15. They're here to support their side. And BBC as well. Two fantastic tunnels snaking their way almost to halfway onto the field.
And it's so wonderful seeing the great support these two schools share, as BBC being sent to the field by baying crowd.
Isn't that beautiful, schoolboy rugby in the war cries?
It's all aimed to speak over the top, but you just want to listen, don't you? Of course, no feelings lost between these two sides. They've shared quite a rivalry the past few years. In 2015, BBC missed a penalty goal on this same field to go down 7-15 in the key match 2015 season. And in 2016, Southport knocked BBC out of competition in round 2 with a 20-17 win down on the Gold Coast. As Southport's captain Max Dowd leads his side onto the field, flanked by Noah Lolicio and Tom Van der Scaife.
Spirited history between the sides, Nick. So, we've got that recent history that you just mentioned as well, and we've obviously got the significance of the ladder positions, and Southport today are probably out of premiership contention as well.
Yeah, they say revenge the dish best served sweet, and gee, it will taste sweet for BBC today if they can knock Southport out of the running with a big win today. Of course, a long competitive history between the two schools. The Southport school only really became competitive in GPS rugby post-2000, but since that time they've finished outside the 3 once in the past 17 seasons, which is an unbelievable run of success and unparalleled in GPS rugby.
Yeah, tremendous. You look across Super Rugby and international rugby over the past few years. So many talented athletes have come out of the rugby nursery down at Southport.
Predominantly from that 2007 Southport first 15, we had those wonderful sort of crop of players. We had your James Slippers in the front row, John O'Lance at fly half, Luke Morahan on one wing, Ben Tapway in the centres. Really a who's who of the Wallabies in the years following that.
Robbie Simmons, Scott Higginbotham as well, around that era as well, through the mid-2000s.
Yeah, that's right. Interesting you mentioned Scott Higginbotham. Never actually played rugby at school. He was a soccer player and played in the 4th 15 at Southport.
And it was funny, once he came to his, once he got into rugby in his club days, he was asked to put on weight by his coaches and performing too well. And he couldn't put on the weight that they wanted, so he went away from the game and relaxed his dietary standards a little bit, and that actually allowed him to put on the weight that he ended up using on the rugby field in the years to come.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rob, there's one bloke on this field who has no putting on weight. The Southport prop, Zane Nongor, we believe is the heaviest player ever to step on a GPS rugby field, the tight head prop from the Southport school, weighing in at a whopping 136 kilograms. What's the word? A giant of the match.
It's a tremendous stat, Nick. Southport front is actually heavier than the Wallabies front row that he running out against the Orcs next week. Kev Toomey is our referee. He's our man in the middle today. Very accomplished referee in club rugby land as well in Queensland. Of course, stepping back into GPS rugby this weekend. He refereed Southport when they took on State High a few weeks ago, so he'll be familiar with that side as well.
And no stranger to the spectacle of GPS rugby either, as Carter Gordon, the BBC fly half, 16 years of age, will start to get our match underway. And what a key match this will be. Ladies and gentlemen, a potential premiership decider. My name is Nick Darvaniza. I'm with Rob Matthews. We're so excited to bring you what should be a cracking match. And that's time on, as Carter Gordon sends us to the skies. Taken in there by the Southport school, met quickly by a rush of BBC defenders. As Campbell Parada, obviously the Queensland 1 fly half's got a big boot and finds young Jack Bowen. Oh, the step, there he goes again.
Bowen did well to pluck that out of the sun as well.
A wobbly old kick getting there. And TSS putting pressure on the breakdown. They haven't got enough to seal it, or maybe they have. As I pile in, wow. Yes, wow, indeed. We did see BBC at the end of last week. They did lose some breakdown turnovers to Brisbane Grammar School last week. So maybe that's an area where Southport have decided that's really an area we can concentrate on in our attacking of the BBC game plan.
Absolutely right, Nick. I mean, those first couple of rucks there, they smashed in very hard. So it's something they're focusing on, no doubt.
Egan Siegs in the loose head prop, standing at 188 centimetres tall, a pretty tall hooker as Southport attack wide. Lalesio finding Ronan Carpy, but not quite. Max Daly cleaning up the scraps at the back of the breakdown. Yeah, and referee Kev Toomey will punish Ronan Carpy for that handling error there. And so we see BBC with their first real attacking platform with the scrum just about on halfway.
Centre field attacking scrum is an excellent platform for any attacking side, and we've seen so far this year that BBC really are a genuine attacking side with danger right across the back line. So they'll be relishing this opportunity. They're 50 metres out, but once you cut through a set defensive line, you can do a lot in 50 metres.
Now I do expect the BBC will use their former Cullen Yamanu from the previous season, who's now lining up at outside centre, just to add some size into a BBC backline that maybe is a little bit smaller than they might like, especially when going up against a gigantic Southport school team.
Heads in.
Oh, we'll get a good view from this sideline camera here. We'll right down on the level of the hips of the players. We'll be able to see how strong that engage is.
I think Egan Siegs here, the loose head prop from the Southport school, is far and away the best scrummaging prop in Queensland. So we'll see if Reece Van Neck, his counterpart BBC, can do a bit to disrupt him, or rather not to be disrupted.
What a superb name for a prop, Van Neck.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be the only neck he has.
Of course, Kevin Toomey blowing the penalty. Southport not cooperating in the lead up to that scrum. And of course, we can't have that. As Carter Gordon, 16 years of old this year, his first year in the first 15 competition. He's got quite a big boot, and he uses it here.
Uses it well, good distance, but he didn't try and push the envelope too much, and it still went well out onto the nets here.
Reece Van Neck, both props throwing into the line out. Going high, can't find Trevor Hosea. And now Southport have a chance to run it back out of their half. Reno Gerard, what a carry, that man.
I think we'll see a bit of that today.
Siggs driving from the base of the ruck, getting those long levers working. And we'll see Tom Kibble, the BBC captain, on the ground, slowing it down. All good flankers should. He's had a bit of time in number 8, but 7 is a wonderful position for him to be in, where he can just use that on-ball talent to the best of his ability and maybe even push the envelope.
He would have known exactly what he was doing there as well. He didn't make too much effort to move, and the rest of his team didn't commit any men to that breakdown. So they were relying on Kibble there to slow it down.
Well, BBC are the competition's best defensive team at this point in time, conceding just 12 points per game. You'd have to think a big part of that would be the defensive play of their back row, including Kibble. As Siggs going high.
Safe option to the front.
Ooh, a low pass from Spencer James, wide from Parada to the grass again. Southport having some troubles with their cohesion there. Maxed out, the Gold Coast Titan.
Number 10, tackling out the ball.
Loses the ball in contact, but a late shot from upon Campbell Parada will give Southport the chance to kick their opening points of the match.
It was a very short advantage there played by referee Toomey. I think I saw the ball might have been stripped or might have been lost in contact, so that's why it was blown up so quickly for a penalty and for a attempt at goal. No
possible advantage to be gained there for the Southport score with that ball flopping around on the deck as Campbell Parada lines up his kick. Western Australian origins Campbell Parada, and a wonderful goal kicker from the West, models his kicking style on Dan Carter, I believe.
Who better to model your kicking style on than not only a kicker, but a model kicker and a kicker who also happens to be a model, Nick?
Oh, the Queenslander in me says Quade Cooper's kicking style works for most.
Super Cooper, love it, Matt.
And so, poised, balanced, and ready to kick some points. A clean connection sails through the middle of the posts for the first goal of the Southport for the Southport School. They take an early 3-0 lead in the 6th minute. As BBC organising themselves, they run back to halfway to get the match back underway. Taking their time. I wonder what the delay is. It might be the Campbell Parada stumped that ball too far for even the ball boys.
They also had some difficulties back here, Nick, as well. The previous ball also found its way onto the cricket nets when it was kicked for the touchline by BBC earlier, so they may be short early in the game.
So, Carter Gordon, not the start BBC would have wanted, but they'll have a chance to work their way back into the Southport School territory. As Alessio takes it inside the 22 and fires a thumping line drive. And quite a kick. Yeah, and a great kick chase there, denying BBC even the chance to potentially counter-attack with a quick line out. As Reese Van Neck Xavier Velatapui, last year's second rower, a number 8 today. And a short ball, what a carry. YY Rauren. Hosea. As Peter fires to Gordon, wide to Prince Taugalele. And BBC with a quick ball they so crave now. Gordon takes on the line himself. Met firmly by 2 defenders. Siggs. As Hosea. See, no opportunities here for BBC to really work their way through the line. Taugalele, good hands, breaks one. Still driving. G's been busy, that man, for BBC.
7 into the halfback.
Yeah, Lachlan Vine. We've seen both 7s now, just pushing the borders of the locality.
Vine knew exactly what he was doing there. Slowed the ball down well, and almost in the same equivalent part of the field that we had the penalty given away by Kibble earlier as well. So, you know, defensive part of the field, they're happy to give those ones away. Slow ball for their oppositions, I should say. Fabs, Luke, thanks very much for the comment, mate. We've absolute pleasure to be on the sidelines for Grassroots Rugby. And Mark Edwards-Evans, all-star coaching for Brisbane Boys College. Shane Drum is a head coach, and he'll be assisting. He's an assistant coach of the Queensland Reds with a few other top-tier coaches as well, and Mike Wallers for the Southport School. They had plenty of experience around the Australian schoolboys circuit as well, so excellent coaching staff on both teams.
Captain Tom Kibble takes the first hit up, and Taugalele will take the second. BBC starting to ask some questions as the hooker, Joe Avali, carries the ball into the line. Peter, Gordon, Hosea. Man, so talented. Wafi Gordon looks out for Warren. He's found some space. Cullen Yamanu feeds Jack Bowen, the wily fullback on that left edge. And Tom Kibble firmly by Zane Nonga, the biggest player ever to step foot in the GPS rugby field, we feel. And Tom Kibble would have probably had something to say about that as well. As Trevor Hosea through the tackle to me. BBC work their way to the 22. Van Neck pops the offload for Carter Gordon. Basketball pass to Rauren. Goes behind. BBC a little bit scrappy there. They'll tidy this up as they work their way into the 22 finally.
Take it.
Peter, Gordon, Van Neck working hard for Gordon. Jose, oh, showing some great stats there. Cullen Yamanu, king of the offload. And the offload has produced the goods. BBC crossed for their first try.
That was an absolute tremendous offload, Nick. We saw one earlier, a few phases. We saw a basketball pass on the near side of the field, and then that offload for the try on the far field. Absolutely spectacular hands there by BBC. We saw the middle of the field, their bigger men, Hosea, Van Neck, put their hand up to take the ball to the line, and they did that, and then BBC were able to get the ball out wide, as we can see here in the replay.
Yeah, Cullen Yamanu, such a wonderful offloader. Was a fan favourite of Fox Sports, the other rugby show last year. Free on the pay TV station to show off just what he can do, and there was more of that. It's such a wonderful thing to see on these loose forwards. Of course, Yamanu is playing outside centre today, but a forward by trade. See these wonderful offloading skills that are coming into these forwards, and it really presents so many attacking opportunities for them to work off when get a hand free.
You're absolutely right, Nick, and it's not the sacrifice of, you know, the core skills, the meat and gravy and the meat and veg, as you might say, for forwards. They're still doing the hard work, but then they have the skills to unleash out wide as well.
Right-footed kicker. Should like this angle. And the kick wobbles and is denied. Rejected by the crossbar, but BBC still have their narrow 2-point lead. In the 11th minute, here at the sunny BBC playing fields at Street. Now we'll see the Southport School kick off for the very first time.
Make sure they're on.
2/3 possession to BBC. They've had all the balls so far. And they need
Oh!
Leave it.
A penalty. Nothing malicious in that, of course. Knew his mistake. Got immediately. BBC went, but
7. Leave it to me. Thank you. No.
and just a penalty, the right decision.
I disagree. Leave it to me.
But it does feel that BBC being gifted these attacking opportunities further down the field with some discipline from the Southport School. As Van Neck, oh, disrupted at the back there. Spencer Jeans from South breaks one. Support arrives just in time to clear out Tom Kibble. Gee, with that ball. The hooker, Tyrell Kapua, a Queensland schoolboy. Siggs, rumbling his way over the 22. BBC tried to hold him up, but don't quite get him. As Prado, wide for Lesio. Max Dowd, short ball. Ronan Kapi, his first game at 13 for Southport. A great carry, shedding tackles in his wake.
The space out wide for both sides.
Make it.
Jeans.
Edge offside.
Oh, Parada shows the inside ball, then does give it. And Southport muscling up through the middle. Gee, they'll be hard to stop from this range with their size and their forward pack. As Dowd, Gibson short ball, out for Ronan Kapi. And how about that, Southport? They don't much. Give him a sniff, and they've replied in fine style.
In fine style, absolutely, and with discipline as well. They had the advantage, but they were still willing, Parada, to throw that inside ball, still chance the arm, and take play with that advantage. It did very well, and they didn't even have to go to their big men, Nick. They found it through skills out wide.
No, that's right. They just executed that game plan perfectly, where they did draw in the defence, and then obviously the space is wide. Not that Ronan Kapi did not have work to do. He had plenty of work to do, but it was a fine way to finish. An excellent from School.
And it was a good, strong run by Carpi as well. He still did have a bit to do, as you say. Bounced out of a few tackles, stayed strong, and found his line.
I guess gone are the days when the winger was you just throw the ball to in the end and just hope for them to do something. Now they can all sort of perform that role. And there are plenty of excellent finishes all through this Southport School backline. Another beautiful strike. You'd have to think that's a goal, and it is indeed. G's been good from the boot. Campbell Prada, 2 from 2.
It's a good start for the Southport with less ball than BBC, but they've taken their opportunities and run with them.
And just the recovery that they would have wanted from a situation where they were now, having conceded early. And I think we saw that the BBC were the best defensive team in the competition, conceding 12. Southport are the best attacking team, scoring over 40 points per match.
Match made in hell, Nick.
A match made in hell. Lalesio takes on the right wing. Another chance. Ooh, slips as he kicks. And this might prove an opportunity for BBC. Carter Gordon takes on the line. Oh, wasn't expecting that. That inside ball to Ruan Peter. Spills now Southport School. We'll see what they can do with the counter-attack. Egan Siggs, the Queensland schoolboy. And Noah Alessio taken well by Van Neck.
Advantage is over.
So TSS clear from just inside their 40. Finding grass. This might prove to be a wonderful kick. Unfortunately, out in the full. If he would have given anything to keep that just trickling and keep it in the field of play and force BBC to clear themselves.
All the way back, though, unfortunately, Nick.
All the way back. And, gee, it's a long way back when you're the kicker.
Simone Harmer, Simon Worry, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for your comments.
Yeah,
pleasure to have you on the stream.
And so BBC, with the option of the line out or the scrum, they'll take the scrum. And in an area of the field where they must feel confident they can score points.
Head in.
And we got another great shot here of the one-on-one battle between Van Neck and Egan Siggs. On the engage, geez, Southport putting on the shove.
It's a superb scrum by Southport.
Reno Gerard on the burst. Gee, he's hard to stop from there. What a tackle that was. And Ronan Carpi, the man who scored 1 try. Can he set up Lossie in the corner? He just might. And Southport support streaming in. Gee, they'll be hard to stop. As wide, Dowd, Lalesio. Just slicing through, offloading. Max Burns wrapped up there ably by the BBC defence.
Play advantage.
As Parada, wide pass, finding the hooker to Taro Kapoor, who'll dish off an easy try for Reno. Southport School, gee, they don't need much to work with, but when they do get there, they are efficient in that attacking red zone. Rob Matthews.
You're absolutely right, Nick. They didn't need much. It was bend, and eventually break. But I tell you what, I just want to shout out the efforts of Shaden Stevens there, the left side winger from BBC. He had a 3-on-1 against in defence. He did very well, stayed on his heels, waited till his support men came across, and only committed when he had to. So he did well to save a try at the other side of the field there.
But look at this, Campbell Prada knew where the space was, and great skills from the front rower. Under give that ball away to Reno Gerard for another try for the Southport School.
Fabulous try.
Yeah, Shaden Stevens, the BBC winger, a former state 100-metre champion. He tells me his PB is 10.89, which is a fair sight quicker than what I used to run.
I'd tell you that my PB is 10.89 as well, Nick, but I wouldn't step up to a stopwatch.
Gosh, I'd probably run quicker away from the stopwatch myself. So Campbell Prada, 2 from 2 from the boot so far with a chance to add his third. Not a bad haircut on Campbell Prada, I think. As Parada. Gee, that's a lovely strike as well. He might be the best goal kicker we've seen in the GPS since Sam Green, the Brisbane Grammar School 2012 Premiership winner.
Speaking of that team, Damon Emtaj, coach of that side, is now in absentia down south in Victoria, but tuned into the stream. Damo, good to have you, mate.
Very good to have you, Damon. Taught Sam Green everything he knows in the art of goal kicking. Just ask him.
Yeah, yep.
As Carter Gordon back underway. And found grass. You don't often find that on a restart, but there he does. And now the Southport School forced to win their own line-out ball just to escape their half. Egan Siggs, high, overthrown, finding Lachlan Vine. Jeans. And so Campbell Prada takes it back inside the 22 to clear. Can't kick it out, but gee, that's a good kick. And BBC now look to counter-attack.
Let's take him back.
As Jack Bone
Come on.
finding Max out on the full. Now Southport will counter-attack. Slipping out of one. Getting rid of two. Not a bad return from the fullback. And Southport punching through the middle. Zane Nonga, that man again, 136 kilos. Oh, but he's lost it there. And now Xavier Villatipui finding Prince Tagalay bouncing out of the tackle of Tom Vanderscafe. As Peter finding the inspirational captain Tom Kibble. Support arrives just in time. So it's the Dogs' breakfast in there right now. And BBC, rightly so, penalised for going off their feet.
Big lost opportunity there. Southport, they've been picking their moments. They haven't been overcommitting to the ruck in defence, but they sensed a little bit of vulnerability there by BBC. Took the opportunity and won the penalty.
And gee, it's not a situation BBC would have wanted to find themselves in, where having just conceded a number of quick tries to continue to put themselves under the pump in the territory battle.
Absolutely right. They haven't had any opportunity to build any sort of consistent pressure down in their attacking side of the field. Although the penalty count, 3 forwards, fairly evenly split at this stage.
Of course, just the recent run of penalties going against BBC there. As Tom Vanderscafe takes it down.
Back. Advantage.
Jeans, Parada. Short ball to Drino Gerard.
Another penalty advantage there. Third one for offside as well.
And so with a bit of confidence to their backs, oh, that's a fancy move there from Campbell Parada. And dumped for his trouble by Carter Gordon.
Referee Toomey calls him back. I've reliably been informed and seen him play on the touch field. He's a pedant for the offside because he needs all the space he can to run and have some attacking opportunities. So Kev, if you're watching this in your review, mate, I'm glad to see you're offside, consistent in policing the offside line in 15s as well as on the touch field, mate. Veritable who's who of Queensland rugby here. Todd Dammers, great to have you on the stream, mate. And Jeff Williams, worthy reminder for everyone, the Ipswich Grammar School and Gregory Terrace game is also being live streamed. That's at doubletakelive.com/GPS rugby. So if you're an Ipswich Grammar or Gregory Terrace supporter, that one is available for you as well.
And of course, the stakes are high for Gregory Terrace in that match. One more loss and they're out of it, whereas Ipswich Grammar School upset Southport last week. So they're in a team that's in some cracking form. What a match.
Guys. Water up. Get it up.
As Campbell Prada looks for his 4th goal within 23 minutes. And Rob, if you told me that Southport School will be leading 17 points to 5 in the 23rd minute, I would have said you're dreaming.
What if I told you they were leading 20-5, Nick?
I might have believed that one, actually. And so, a considerable 15-point lead, and this might be tough to chase down.
It's a very strong opening. Very rarely we see a side, scoring with the clock, especially at this level and especially pre-game when we were anticipating such a tight battle.
No, not you.
I guess, Rob, if you were out in the field right now, what would you be saying to your teammates to get them up and going for when the first half has not gone their way, as another error to BBC gives Southport another chance to launch an attacking raid. What would you say, Rob?
I think I'd remind them that there's a good 45 minutes to play in this game of rugby, and we've seen so far this season that BBC, they have weapons and they are a very talented side. They're well drilled, so they just have to go back to their structures, have a think about what's been working for them. It's interesting that Southport play a similar game to sides that BBC have already beaten this season. That absolutely up front, confront you up front, and really disrupt your play. BBC have shown that they can deal with it, perhaps just not to the standard that Southport have been able to put on today. But I have every confidence that they can step up. They've just got to have that discipline and have that patience and probably have someone to put those words in their ear.
And of course, the team with conditioning coach like Steve Nance, they're not going to be fading in the second half. As Southport attack the right. And put in the cheeky little kick there. Just looking to continue to bury BBC in the territory stats. And put themselves in a position where any area they can capitalise and pounce upon.
Ask and we shall deliver, Nick. 58% to 42, the territory in favour of Southport now. Although it feels like it should be more than that in Southport's favour. They've been doing very well.
Oh, in the last 10 minutes for sure. A scrappy win for BBC. Tom Kibble takes the ball back into traffic, escaping two. Gee, what a carry from the captain. So BBC with a wide field with which to attack. They won't use it. Nice and direct. Playing their way to the 22 for a safe clearance. As Carter Gordon provides. Finding touch, I think, just inside the 40-metre line.
7.
That's a very, very good kick there.
That is a promising kick.
Shades of Hooper in Michael Hooper in Kibble as well. He's very strong, powerful runner. Keeps pushing through the tackle. He's been an asset for BBC so far.
As Southport, a short line out. A nudgy classic, that move down the blind side.
No advantage, one extra in the line out.
And another schoolboy error. You'd expect a few of those. Southport take quickly. Parada, Lesio, Carpi, inside ball, working for Burns.
Gordon did very well to cover there.
And Southport, Zane Nongo, the big fella. Now, well, as BBC pull into that, attempting to win the maul over. And a weighted kick there. Weighted well, beautifully. The ball bent just in 22. Very, very smart play from the Southport school, you'd have to say. All this time inside the 22, you'd have to think they're just giving BBC the rope they might need. And disrupts it as well. BBC win it. Oh, but gee, Tom Kibble takes a big shot from Reno Gerard. I thought it might have been. Could have been Spencer Jeans. Trying to escape, not out. Lataria Nona fires inside from Max Dowd. What can he do? Takes Cullen in the outside. Footwork. And eventually carrying himself back from the 50 to the 22. And what must be the 5th consecutive penalty going against the Southport school.
It's really been telling. BBC just haven't really had any opportunities in the past 15 minutes of this game, Nick, and the 1 or 2 that they have had, they haven't been able to hold on to the pill.
And we're calling for the tee again. Campbell Prada getting a fair workout for his kicking boots. Gee, and what this equates to, Rob, is all these little penalties that continue to stack up. Southport are really able to keep the scoreboard ticking over until all of a sudden, maybe BBC will look up and realise, oh my gosh, we're now down by a considerable margin, even though it might not feel like it because they're only giving away points in small increments.
Yeah, I mean, an 18-point margin, he knocks this one over is very significant. And
he is human after all. Southport retain possession. Attack through the midfield. Reno Gerard. As Jeans finds Dowd, shows and goes. Passes the short ball, Alessio. And intercepted in a clutch defensive play.
Knock on. No advantage, knock on.
Spectator try for Southport in the corner there, but wasn't to be.
No, exactly. Just one for the home crowd. For everyone tuning in from the Gold Coast, if you are, your team's doing pretty well. They're up 20 points to 5 at the 30-minute mark. And they look like they've got no signs of slowing down anytime soon.
Your last feed wasn't straight enough.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Happy. Referee Toomey keeping it clean. Good to hear. It's been a theme of the GPS season. I think all the referees have asserted themselves in the matches early, made their expectations known, and then we've had some clean, high skill and high quality rugby games. You can see that territory just creeping up as well as these penalties really start to make their toll known.
And gee, the power of the 8-man shove. Win a tight head scrum inside the 22. Alessio wide for Lotario Nona. He's got speed, he'll finish capably in the corner. And Southport School digging a hole and burying BBC in it. 25 points to 5, the conversion still to come for Lotario Nona's first try in the first 15 as a starter.
You said he had speed, Nick, but he didn't even need it there. The space was out wide, it was well spotted from the inside by Southport, and he just canted over the line.
As I see, this is the great what the Southport have with these two great playmakers in 10 and 12 jerseys in Parada and Lolosio. This ability to attack wide from an instant. And it can be very hard to defend, as we saw there.
I'd love to see another super wide angle if we had one of that try, because Russell for BBC, he was in very, very narrow, and there'd have to be a reason for it, but I'm just not quite sure what that might be.
You'd have to think after the damaging runs of Ronan Karpi through the middle, maybe that was to provide some support to Cullen Umanu matching up against what's clearly a very physical runner of the ball.
Have to trust your man though in defence. It's going to be trouble all day for BBC if you know they're trying to double and triple mark through the midfield.
Well, trouble it has been as Campbell Prada lines up what might be his 5th goal from 6 attempts. A wobbly attempt. I thought it might just sneak back there. Maybe he's lost his groove. He's having plenty of attempts though, so I'm sure he might get another to find it. And so 25 to 5 the score, 32 minutes played. And the Southport School building a formidable lead as we approach halftime.
Of course, 35-minute halves in first 15 schoolboy rugby, 70-minute game, so we're just approaching the halftime now.
Gordon starting off. They favour this left-hand side on restarts. And out on the full. Gee, a compendium of errors here from BBC. But I guess, Rob Matthews, what you do get when you do have a lot of errors in the first half is the chance to clear the slate in the second half.
That's absolutely right, and it's something that can easily be targeted and can easily be communicated by a coach to a side. It's not like that they have this fundamental weakness that Southport are exposing that, you know, weeks on the training to go over. We know that BBC have the skills and have the structures. They've just got to, you know, be a little bit more patient, maybe try to push the envelope a little less when they have those opportunities and just work their way into this match.
And of course, the strike power BBC have littered throughout their first 15. They do have the ability to strike back from anywhere on the field and at any time in the game. So not yet over. But you'd have to think any more points from Southport School and it might start looking that way. As Max Dowd wrapped up capably out wide. Spencer Jeans. Lolesio clearing a low sweeping kick. Just in that coffin corner. BBC forced to clear from their own goal line. Bojan Boa clears. The younger brother of one of the great BBC players from the modern era, I want to call it, the post-2011 rebirth of BBC rugby. Josh now playing his rugby at Sunnybank.
Lolesio was unlucky with that kick. Just bounced away from the touchline.
Now holding, we're holding.
Overthrown, Kibble. Dumming, tackle well.
Tackle. Release, tackle.
He needs the support and it does get there just in time. It's Carter Gordon charged down. as Jack Bowenboya. BBC scrambling to defend their own ruck ball. Gee, they don't want to give away a turnover here. Go wide to the number 8, Vela Tapui.
BBC did well to get men back around the corner behind the ball there. They were under a lot of pressure. It
was a precarious situation. They've just escaped from it as Taugeli accelerates into the contact. BBC again. Oh, great skill there from the big man, Van Neck. And so, attacking with some speed. This is the first time with impetus we've seen. As Trevor Hosea, the big lock. Inside, Russell now. Finds himself entangled in 2 TSS front rowers. There's Van Neck working. TSS haven't rolled away there. TSS, BBC still able to clear. As Taugeli, G's been busy on that left wing. And I feel, Rob Mount, this might be the most plays we've seen BBC put together.
Certainly in a long time, at least.
Finally looking cohesive in attack. Of course, we haven't heard the referee's whistle blow yet. Oh, a cheeky offload, Hosea. Offloading. Nimanu puts on the speed. Can he get there himself? Does he need to? He does! What a try that is. And the ultimate reply delivered in fine class from the former number 8, turned outside centre, Cullen Nimanu.
I thought they'd thrown away an opportunity there, Nick, because there was space in and around the ruck as well, but it went wide and the forwards still link up. Hosea did well after he'd fluffed one just before, but he threw another good pass in that sequence, and we rushed away for the try in the corner, and there was a man spare out wide as well.
Oh, any one of 3 BBC players could have scored this one. See, Cullen Nimanu, look at the speed on him. As Max Dow comes up to cover, the quick fend gets rid of him, and Nimanu dives over. It won't be an easy kick for Carter Gordon, but gee, BBC can take some confidence over that strike in return.
Absolutely right, Nick. That'll be half-time. It'll do wonders for them in the sheds.
As we see Carter Gordon lining up his kick. Important points. I don't want to leave any behind at this point in the match. 16 years of age, played reserve for GPS. He reserved for GPS 1 at the National Championships, at the State Championships, and found his way into the Queensland 2 team. Unfortunately, doesn't grab the 2 points off there, and BBC head into the sheds behind 25-10 as the Southport school show a flex of their muscle and rugby power.
Couldn't get the points there at the end, but nonetheless, the try will do wonders for BBC. 15 points, it's a lot against a talented Southport side. But it's not insurmountable. Not insurmountable at all. So look at the stats. Rob, what stands out to you among these, mate? Well, what stands out to me is actually the evenness of a lot of it. I mean, you look at those tackles missed, line breaks, turnovers conceded, penalties conceded. They're all within cooee of each other, these two sides. And Southport's actually, because they've had all that ball, they've actually got more handling errors. But it's the territory that has killed BBC, and it's led to that 25-10 scoreline.
Yeah, I mean, so many wonderfully talented kickers in that Southport team, just piling the pressure on BBC. And it's, as we've seen with the scoreline now, it's so hard to play rugby when you're up against your own, inside your own 22 for the great awards of the game.
It absolutely is. So BBC, they'll be looking to make the most and look for some better opportunities in the second half. They did well. We just saw that they can score from long range, but you don't want to rely on that against a good Southport side.
And so we look into the BBC huddle, led there by the former Queensland lock, Van Humphreys, marshalling his forwards now. And I think if there is going to be a comeback for BBC, it will have to come from the platform forwards here can lay.
Absolutely right. Let's hope that Van's speech is as inspirational as the infamous speech for the Reds in Napier, or Hamilton it was, in 2010. Very inspiring man, very talented rugby player. So you can see there he's offering some words to his side. As we leave you for a break in this half-time, I'll be back with some quality GPS rugby action very, very shortly. Stick around.
Welcome back to Miskin Street, Brisbane Boys College, taking Southport School. They're in a bit of a hole at the moment, marooned in their own 22 for great swaths of the first half. They do have the biggest challenge of their season on their hands into the second half. Rob Matthews, welcome back from the break.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be back again.
And so, yeah, BBC in a real hole on the wrong side of the territory stats, on the wrong side of the scoreline, and plenty of work they'll need to do in the second half. If they're going to come back and retain their undefeated status past round 4.
Absolutely right, and we have to make sure as well that the Southport School, they're not tempted to take their foot off the gas. I don't think that Coach Mike will let them do that. I'm sure he would have had some, had strong and direct words for them at the break, but they're doing well so far. So they just need to keep that pressure on as well, because especially if BBC start to get a bit more territory. Southport have had the advantage of territory so far in those half. So if BBC start to get a little bit more ball and a little bit better area of the field, they can still do some damage. And 15 points, that's not insurmountable.
Of course, the Southport School were the big, heavy favourites entering into the 2017 GPS rugby season. And this last week's Ipswich Grammar School has put a flutter in their plans. And, the stakes for today could not be high for Southport, and they've pulled out a performance to match. As they get back underway. And BBC attempting clear from outside of their own Miskin Street end. BBC School spirit in no short supply on the sideline.
They're understandably a little bit quiet in that first half, Nick. It's good to hear they found their voice for the second.
And I think that's going to be a big help to their team. Firing wide, and TSS set the first driving maul match to Chris in the second half.
We've had hardly any clean line-out ball, Nick. So many overthrows.
Egan Six piloting from the back there. As Spencer Jeans pulls it free, and Campbell Prada putting his side back in the plus side, the right where they want to be in the territory. And now I guess we have an opportunity to see just how clearly BBC's halftime messages have set in, whether they are able to clear efficiently and effectively.
We can see as well there, Nick, on the touchies flag, the breeze starting to come in BBC's favour. And as well, field faces almost directly west, so as the sun sets, it'll get in Southport's eyes. So BBC get the 2 conditional advantages in this half.
Great interchange there. Xavier Velatapui shows his own speed. Cullen Umanu taken by Burns. And BBC, it is crunch time. They need to be efficient in the way they attack. As Trevor Hosea finds contact in the halfway. Gordon, wide, Van Neck. Tunga Ellie, he's got a turn of speed for a big man. But loses it. Gee, and it all looks so promising, Rob Matthews.
BBC's best opportunities came in the first half, where they kept it narrow for a few phases before sending it wide. They got excited there after a half break, and they sent it wide straight, and Southport were able to capitalise.
Capitalise in.
Do you want the ball? You saw it.
14. That's enough.
Well, the players slowly making their way to set the scrum. We saw Southport enjoy great scrummaging dominance in the first half. We'll see if it kicks on the second.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Of course, the Southport School prop side score outweighs his opposite number, Prince Taugali, by a good 19 kilograms. And I think Taugali is probably used to that. There's not many blokes around that would outweigh him by that number. Well, as they feed Southport on that left wing, have all of the right and the midfield to attack in. And it's actually a challenging position to defend for BBC. And finally, the ball is fed and a full-on penalty. TSS take a quick leap.
Not drop straight, number 3. Gear back 10.
And so an early call of wheeling against Reese Van Neck.
They had tried to take that size advantage as Nick, but did it in a bit of a sneaky way, or tried to push around the corner, but referee Toomey was onto him.
It's always a brave call to attempt to wheel when the referee is on your tight head side. So it took the gamble and it didn't pay off. As now TSS, as they have done so many times at the first half, kick their way into BBC territory where they'll set up shop and aim to score some points. Penalty conceded now, double 8-4 in favour of the Southport school.
Roll 3.
As the Southport school maul their way across the 22. No, Alessio run short, flat line into the teeth of the defence. As Parada, Dowd, skips outside, links with Burns. Cullen Yamano, the back row, converted into the centres, putting on some ample breakdown pressure, but CSS able to retain possession. As Dowd, acting as scrum half. Alessio tapped down. There'll be knock on against BBC. So advantage, an opportunity to chance their arm for the Southport school.
Knock on there.
They'll be happy to go for the posts again here, Nick. You'd think?
Back down, number 7.
I was going to, Rob, there's no prize in what they'll go for here.
Yeah. Parado points to the sticks very, very quickly.
Captain.
Great to have Lockie Parkinson on the stream, premiership winning assistant coach with Brisbane State High last year and
Captain.
leader of the coaching programs, women's programs for Queensland Rugby and Queensland's women's sevens team. So Lockie, pleasure to have you on the Queensland Premier Rugby, Queensland GPS Rugby, mate.
Yeah, I hope Lockie enjoyed his time in the Bahamas with the Australian Youth Commonwealth Girls squad. It's a very successful tournament over at the Youth Commonwealth Games, I beg your pardon.
I'd be fairly disappointed in him, Nick, if he couldn't enjoy a successful tournament in the Bahamas. You'd have to think there'd be something wrong.
Why don't we take GPS Rugby to the Bahamas, Rob? Wouldn't that be fun?
Your credit card, please, Nick.
Not on the salary you're paying me. As Campbell Parada. Successful kick. And the scoreboard continues to tick over, and those ticks getting louder and louder for BBC supporters.
He's found his boots again, Parada. Just a few late in the first half, but he'd have been grateful for one from basically just in front for his first attempt at the second half.
15 points to lead now, early in the second half. The Southport school with their season on the line, doing all they can to keep alive for at least a few more weeks.
Fall down, fall down.
And we see that sun, I think, coming in there, Rob, where that not an easy place to catch.
Absolutely not. That BBC, they'll take anything they can get at this stage. Very little point in going for the posts now.
BBC haven't tasted success since 1994.
Lockie, great to hear the confirmation that the Bahamas treated you well, mate.
Stay inside the 15.
And here we go. You'd have to imagine that with all the line-out options, BBC will attempt a rolling maul from such close range. But a costly error, denying BBC the chance to score some points, but they might have an opportunity here to continue to build their own territory pressure.
They'd certainly have to hope so. That was a bad that line out, just communication breakdown. The lifters didn't even get to the correct man. We've seen a lot of errors at line out time from both sides today.
And you can't blame Kadiri for that. It is a stunning day in Toowong.
That one was a little bit better there.
Vipui making good meters off taking the line out. Gordon wide for Raren. Bowie Bowen skips inside one. As BBC recycle and attack. Spinning Xavier Velalui. And Ruin Peter, great work there to avoid the counter-ruck. Picking up quickly from Scruff.
A few sneaky hands in that one. The referee Toomey reckons he beat the ruck.
Make it available. Back 10 now.
Yeah, BBC not too happy with that, but you can't argue with the referee's decision. He's got the best view of anyone on the field today.
Maxi.
And so now, our second time with BBC enter the Southport 22, but replaced by some excellent defence.
Yep, let's go. Mark's here.
And that defence has been good the whole game, Nick. It's interesting actually. See, they've attacked so well all season, and we know they have dangerous men with good hands, and they can play flat to the line. But in their attack now, they've really started to play the ball a few metres behind the line. It's much easier for these skilled Southport defenders to just pick runners as they come. They're not. BBC aren't forcing the defenders to make last-minute judgment call decisions.
Let's go, please, 10.
And they're able to mark up in defence quite easily.
Here's the drawback of that deep, wide passing game where you just feed the ball sometimes into a very aggressive defensive unit. And so Campbell Prada gets us out of here. Great crowd catch there.
Ken Dobson, great to have you on the stream, mate, from Japan. Now coaching over there after doing some work in the Queensland development programs over the past few years. It's great to have you on the stream. You can hear the BBC boys there calling for line speed.
And Southport, wow, finding some space left wing. How did that happen? And Lalesio, Dowd. Gee, we've heard that combination a few times today. Burn puts on the fend, tries to get rid of young Aiden. And crunching through the middle, Tom van der Scaife. And Parada kicks again. Wonderful, just bouncing in the nick of time.
The BBC boys were calling for that line speed and they delivered on it, forcing the pressure release there from the back from Southport, but what a kick.
Yeah, it's almost not a pressure release, but just a straight flip of putting the pressure onto BBC with that pinpoint accurate kicking game.
And another line-out error.
Coach killers, Rob. An overused clip, but gee, they're accurate.
We agreed before the game we're going to be screwing and steady, hey? Let's see it, please. We're going to continue playing games, we'll continue to have penalties, whatever you like. Mark's here.
Of course, the primary focus of referees at scrum time is for cooperation of both sides to get the ball out quickly and safely so we can get on with the game. When teams start to manipulate that and try to get early advantage from that, the referees see that as not cooperating, and that's when the penalties soon follow. And so, inside ball for Lotte Nona. Trying to get the ball free, but no one available. As Jeans for Reno Gerard rumbling ahead. Met by Colin Yamanu. Zainongo driving. Approaching that 5-metre line. And now the Southport school really making their possession count. Egan Siegs carrying it through the middle.
1 to 15 all work out here, presenting options.
Wow, and just what the doctor ordered, BBC let off the hook. A timely breakdown penalty.
Quick, very strong at the ruck. It was great to see off that scrum. We had that wide shot we could see as Carpi ran in, trying to open up the space, but the BBC defence met them well. But the thing I really wanted to point out was those Southports, after coming from a hard-fought scrum, sucked in a few seagulls and got out, provided support right across the park very, very quickly. Those players are working very, very hard.
Yeah, it's been one of the great strengths of the Southport school for so long now. That coaching program down on the Gold Coast is second to none. So you see these big forwards, huge lumps of men able to power into the second half like very few others. A scrappy line out, won by Southport. And Kapua driving through the middle, a very effective carry. There might be Nongo there. Jeans, Parada takes on the line himself, steps through, gets out another one, looking for support. Does he fires that wild pass inside, and BBC claim it. Save again, 2 from 2. Feels like Rob Matthews, that's not something we've seen from B, or rather Southport School, throwing away the ball willy-nilly.
No, both sides have been very, very disciplined so far with the ball in this match. Maybe a bit looser with their structures, but a ball in hand, they've been quite well drilled.
Back 10.
Hands in the ruck, it looks like, against BBC in the worst possible place to give away a penalty.
The temptation was just too good to be true there.
So time off. Campbell getting ready to kick his next goal, and you have to think get it from this range. A simple kick, but which will take the margin out to 21 points, 3 converted tries, and gee, that's a big ask with how many minutes remaining in the half, Rob? A 70-minute match, 22.
Well done, Nicholas.
Look, I'm not on medal.
Yeah, you'd have to back Parada from here. He's kicked these goals all afternoon, missed a few from out wide, but even then he'd be on to get it. And we're already back to that 18-point margin, as you say, Nick. If we go up to 21, you'd have to think the BBC would just about be out of this one. Then they'd have one loss, Southport School 1 loss, and Nudgee College would be in the driving.
I wonder if we can spot any Nudgee boys around the field today. Just scoping out 2 of the absolute premier teams in this first 15 competition, and both of them the biggest barriers to a Nudgee premiership.
100%. Good observation, Nick, because Nudgee, of course, do have the bye today, so the younger grades are playing Downlands College, down from Toowoomba, but the first 15 get to rest up, have a look around the competition, and ready to go again next week.
39 premierships, I believe, for Nudgee College. Last one was in 2013. In quite a talented first team with Alex Murphy, the Queensland Reds hooker, Bobby Tuttle,
30 seconds.
Campbell Magnay, McLean Jones, now at the Waratahs. But I'll tell you what, this Nudgee crop now, they have their best chance since then, if BBC do go down, as they're training to do today.
No, we haven't had time on yet.
So having a fair break. Looks like Gordon's getting a jersey change.
Oh. Time on, let's go.
See what prompted that one, Nick, but time's back on.
And so, yeah, BBC's reprieve is over. And Southport School looking to add some more points. I want to ask you, Rob, if Southport do kick this goal and put out to a sort of an untenable, no, it's not the right way, to a near certain win, you'd have to say. What do BBC then get out of the second half? What can they take out of it going forward?
Well, BBC, even if they do get a loss out of the second half, Nick, they also get another chance next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. We've seen so far that all of these teams up around the top of the GPS competition this year have been taking points off each other. It's still a tight contest, even if this scoreline does blow out a little bit today. Until they get that second loss, you'd have to think BBC are well within their rights to shoot for the premiership. 3-way ties for a premiership aren't unheard of in this competition. And they're alive, certainly until round 7, when Southport play Nudgee College down at Southport.
That's very true.
And if Southport are able to put on a display like this dominant one today against Nudgee College and get a win, well then we're in a situation where all 3 of those schools have a very good shot.
BBC well rested, and they've come firing back into this one. A big shot upon the kickoff. And they'll have penalty advantage, which let's see what they can do with it now.
7! New advantage, 7 off feet.
Rumbling forward, it's time to pull out the whole bag of tricks. As Cullen Dumani throwing that goose step. Of course, Dumani, the younger brother of Jaden, the fullback, was prone to a goose step himself. As BBC recycle quickly and working their way inside the 22. Tunga Elliott scored a great try from this position last week.
No!
And BBC with their best opportunity of the second half so far. As Devon Toliafor Gordon taking on the line himself.
Short. Held up.
Held up. But more composed from BBC, Rob. It looks good, doesn't it?
More composed from BBC. It certainly does look good. I'm not sure. I think Southport student of rugby league perhaps calling for a double movement, second effort ruling there from the referee. Not a rule in the game of rugby union, but an admirable call nonetheless.
It's always worth a try.
It is always worth a try. I think also that phase showed that, again, Southport have been disciplined all day. They've been very good at picking their chances and picking their chances in the ruck, because we've seen a lot of turnover ball, but in that set there, BBC hot on attack. Southport hardly committed any men to that defensive ruck. All stayed wide in the defensive line. They let BBC have quick ball, but they had quick ball running out of fully fledged, fully set defensive line.
18 minutes to go in the second half now. This might be it for BBC, but a try here will certainly change the complexion of this second half. As a smooth inside ball there, Kelly Nimanu inside the 5 metre line.
Number 9.
This will hurt.
Spencer Jeans.
No, time's off. Over here. 9.
Well, BBC won't be complaining, will they?
Right.
With one man short. And the halfback does play in that sweeper role that can be so vital to these modern defences that the schoolboy teams are running. Missing a sweeper can prove to be very dangerous. Gordon, short. Velatapui. Offloading very well, too well. A great try for young Weiwei Rauren.
Beautiful there. Rauren gets the try, but the offload was absolutely superb. And we had a great camera behind the try line there to capture that right in front of us. As we look here at the replay, slow ball to come out, but when it came out,
and that little bit of move there, put a little bit of indecision and the ability to rip that arm free to pop an offload, and for a simple try for Weiwei Rauren, the young Rauren brothers who've come through the BBC First 15 in recent years.
And there were 2 men spare out there for BBC as well. It's interesting you mentioned Nick, with Jeans in the in for the next 10 minutes as well, and that's Southport not having that sweeper in defence. BBC have actually started in their attack. They've been bringing men around the corner, and which will also expose holes at the fringes of the ruck, where Jeans would often be patrolling as well. So
it's Gordon's kick just off.
Didn't sound great off the boot. Sounded heavy. Score remains 31 points to 15. And status remains a mountain to climb for BBC. They are the Highlanders, Nick.
I like that, Rob. I like that a lot. And so Southport back to the line. They're not keen to get back underway. Their job's fit. Can BBC show them otherwise?
Maybe some delaying tactics are just part of the job when you're leaving, Nick.
Gordon.
Inside.
He'll clear himself. Doesn't find touch. Not that it matters much. A quick line out would have done the same result for Southport. And attacking the left, Alessio to Nona. What can he do? And BBC force a knock on. That's all they want. 60% of tries are scored in the first 2 phases after a turnover. So BBC launched right here. Nimanu, so dangerous this offload. Great hands. Stevens, Nimanu, grubbing through. What a try this will be. What?
Did he ground that, Nick? I'm not sure he had a clean grounding. Let's have a listen out here.
Looked like a knock on from where I was.
I agree.
Thank you. Time on. Knock on.
Clear agreement there, both referees.
Lost in the finish. I didn't see it myself, Rob, but I'll take their word for it.
Yeah, I didn't think late, but
Every other time
I'm aware of it. I'll continue
As we see here, BBC attacking wide. That counter-attacking mindset prevalent in the BBC team. Nimanu, quick hands there for Bowen. Stevens. Here is the ultimate finish.
No ball, guys. No ball, no ball.
Well, look grounded to me.
Absolutely not, Nick. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there.
Yeah, balls off, balls in.
Yeah, time off.
We got ball.
Well, it's a movie the BBC, they show so frequently that ability to counterattack from anywhere on the field.
22, 13 minutes, boy.
No, 8 in. 8 in. Yeah,
Trevor,
8 in.
We'll have a great view of this scrum.
Bind.
Scrub! Squeeze, boys!
Sit.
Hold! Ready!
BBC exerting their own pressure on this scrum. Left boot of Parada clears, doesn't find touch. Stevens on debut in the first 15. Wide pass Bodie Bowen. Escapes from one, escapes from two. Taken there by Vines. Attacking left. Oh, beautiful play. Oh. And a key tackle there, but he's still going. Prince Tauga LA. What more could you want from your loose prop?
Maybe an earlier pass, Nick. There was an opportunity out wide.
As Van Neck. More of the same. Barreling. And Nimanu, so dangerous. Wrapped up there by Ronan Carp, his opposite number. Kibble, fighting to the line. He'll play it back. And BBC, there they have it.
A whole lot of maroon and blue jerseys there, Nick. Southport managed to get their defence cover right across the field, and they did well to be there, but it was a strong carry, and they weren't able to get under the ball.
Yeah, last match.
As we see, I think he's the young substitute. Unless it's Russell. It does give the game an interesting complexion. The goal makes it 31-22.
12 odd minutes to play as well. And we could see the prop Van Neck, who was loitering out for that next phase in midfield. Fist pumps that try. He knows how important it is for his side.
Well, there are players in this BBC team that run the 100 metres in 10 seconds. That's all they need to score. And so it's an awful lot of 10 periods remaining. And I think at this point, if you're the Southport coaches, Rob, you start to get a bit nervous.
Valerie, he'll be glad they ended up getting that try out wide, BBC, because he held on to the pill a little bit too long and maybe denied his side an opportunity a few phases before. But nonetheless, 31 points, 22 off the uprights.
As we see, Van Humphreys and Totai Kefu leaving the field, they're barking their issues, barking their orders. Instilling some belief.
Guys, there's 11 minutes to go, guys. There's 11 minutes to go.
And I think hope is spreading like wildfire through this BBC crowd. As Nongor cleans up the scraps. Kibble.
Pull down.
Yeah, Kibble thought he had the right side. Big Kev Toomey doesn't agree.
Shot.
He may have, Nick. I must say I missed the ruck there. I was looking at something else, but he was saying the man didn't come in through the gate, so perhaps was on the ball, but it was spotted by one of his teammates.
Where's captain?
Could be. As look at the territory stats at half was 71 to 29 to Southport at halftime. It's much closer now.
That's it. BBC have actually had some opportunities, and the possession is basically 50-50 as well. So both teams have had their chances with the ball, but Southport have had the advantage of territory, and we've seen this man kick for goal a number of times on that.
A cheap penalty giveaway right in front of the sticks. And a very mature approach from Southport, taking whatever's on offer. We said earlier they score 40 points a game, and they're getting there now against the #1 rated defensive team in the competition. No mean feat. Accurate strike. Southport lead 34-22 in the 61st minute. And now it all comes down to this, the final 10 minutes. The period of time where schoolboys often find their most magical pieces of play.
We saw it last week. Gregory Terrace put an absolutely stellar defensive effort to hold Churchy out at the death. Let's see if Southport can be similarly rock solid.
A clean take there from Southport School. Back inside the 20, Parada to Dowd, who'll clear to that left wing. Oh no. A late shot on Dowd as he kicked. So the penalty will be awarded from the spot of the reception.
Absolutely right, Nick. Very, very costly.
You know, and what's worse? Well within Parada's range.
Well within range.
It's where the ball lands.
I think we've seen that 1 or 2 times as well, Nick. A few late tackles and a little bit of a cuddle or a jersey tug in back play. It's happened a bit on both sides today. It's the first time it's caught the referee's attention.
The frustration must be mounting for boys on both sides of this fixture. As we're going to stop the clock here for a quick chat.
We have 8 minutes. Guys, there's 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes.
Maxi.
Well, we've got 8 minutes, 10 seconds, referee Toomey, so I'm going to claim that you're rounding, mate. But you're right, Nick. You're talking of the frustration these sides must be feeling. BBC, for obvious reasons, we've spoken about some of the difficulties they've had. But Southport as well, they were very, very slick in the first half. The second half has been a bit more of a grind for them, both because BBC have really stepped up and they have been a better spoiling side in this second half. But Southport as well, they've a bit of that polish. They've no doubt been disrupted by the sin bin and expensive jeans at number 9, which will be difficult for any side to deal with. But the match has become a little bit more of a grind in this second half.
Yeah, can't argue with that. As Prada steps up for another penalty goal.
And of course, every shot at goal eats up minutes with a sin bin in play. You'd have to think that would be just about it, Nick.
Yeah, if this goal goes through, and it is a big goal because it will put Southport out past 14 points, give them a 15-point lead if successful. And surely, BBC can't come back from that.
Seen some crazy things in schoolboy rugby over the years, but the odds are in their favour.
I think you got to give an enormous amount of credit to the Southport School. Such a disappointing loss last week, and to put out the comprehensive performance they have today, where aside from patches of maybe 1 or 2 phases where BBC are able to sort of exert big gains, they've been a dominant team from start to finish. Oh, a low kick.
Does it count if it bounces over the cross?
That's a great question. We'll have to ask Toomey after the game.
Off the ground?
I'd like to think so.
7 minutes to go. 7 minutes green, 7 minutes.
I think it would be a case of I'm not even mad, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Get him on 10.
Tremendous
10,
skill involved in that.
Might award it 6. As Vine receives, looking to link up, but he'll take on the line himself. Met in the firm tackle, a double man tackle, as Jeans fires wide. Parada looking inside, going himself. Oh, and a quick turnover. Phenomenal work from, I believe, Spencer Jeans, the halfback, returning from the sin bin and making that clutch turnover. Head over the ball.
Hold on.
And penalties conceded, BBC 12 to Southport Schools 9. It's been a highly penalised match.
Tell you what, the BBC almost got away with it there. It's interesting in this David Pocock era of the pilfer. People see a player over the ball like that, and they instantly think that a penalty is the only outcome. But of course, a penalty is only blown if the player with the ball doesn't release it. And there, the BBC player did release the ball, but just a little bit late for referee Toomey, because of course, the ball had been released. The man over the ball had rights to take it, but he doesn't have rights to an instant penalty just by virtue of being there. So it was well refereed by Kev Toomey there. He was patient. He was with the players, but it was a very close run thing. It wasn't the lay down misère penalty that many might have expected.
Well, any points now for the Southport School will be the dagger for this game, pulling it well and truly out of reach for for BBC. As Parata, inside ball for Cuppy. He's been difficult to bring down. Another penalty, high tackle.
You can hear the frustration starting to tell this home crowd. As we can see, the ground scoreboard in the background there hasn't been accounting for time off, so it's running a little bit ahead of play.
No,
But the
we've had 2
12-point
minutes.
margin is accurate.
Yeah, boys, next one's yellow card.
Well, I think, Rob, so Southport will kick the goal here, but I think they'll learn some big lessons, BBC, out of this match. Primarily the importance of playing that territory game and being able to execute in the territory battle from an earlier start. I think that'll be the big one for BBC. What do you think?
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. And being responsive, because they've had moments, and their moments have been when they've been able to hold the ball through a number of phases. And I know Southport have something to do with that, but they're not going to disrupt every set of phases. When BBC have and they've punched it up hard and they through the narrow channels in the first couple of phases, space has been available out wide. Haven't been disciplined enough, or haven't been consistent enough to hold on to the ball long enough to exploit that very often. As we see another one, Parata.
That's a penalty goal. And there's nothing
4 minutes,
like,
Green, 4 minutes.
and there's nothing that'll teach the importance of having good discipline inside your own half when you're playing a goal kicker as accurate as Campbell Parata, who might be good for 8 penalties a game if you give him the chances. And so BBC looking to scrap anything they can out of the remainder of this. Taken cleanly by Tom van der Schaaf. Lalesio, wide for Parata. Oh, he loses it. Now what can BBC do with this? Trying to keep the five. Numanu heads for space.
Advantage, high tackle.
A high shot, so BBC will have a chance to reload and have another go, just scraping back this margin a little bit, improving their points differential. While it doesn't count for the GPS table, I know the boys do look at points differentials, and as Tamgaeli rumbles into the 22. Velatapui cut down, Van der Schaaf. As Peter, Carter, Van der Neck. Oh, for the hooker, Avali, sorry. Tamgaeli again. For Neck and BBC building pressure. Getting rid of Lachlan Vine. BBC, whenever they get over 5 or 6 phases, they look so good. As Carter Gordon's able to regather his balance. Dumped to the ground by Hugh McNamee, and they'll come back. Volnek wants quick. He'll take advice from his team. They spread wide now. Kibble, Jack Kibble. A captain's try for C.
Brilliantly did to the post as well, so they'll be looking for 7.
Just squeezing on to take the quick drop goal conversion. It's successful. We didn't catch it on camera, but Carter Gordon at 2 points. Bring the margin.
I won't lie, I'm pretty impressed, Nick, as well. The touchies were both at the post as well already for the conversion, so very quick work.
Yeah, not the only ones. BBC are not the only ones working hard on keeping this game at speed. As we see Van Neck wide to Kibble, step off the right, and then slipping underneath the tackle of Egan Siggs. A good idea, honestly.
Very good vision.
Finds his way to the line. And so now an 8-point game. If BBC can score next, this will be a very, very interesting grandstand finish. But they have plenty of work to do yet. 80 meters plus. And Kibble taken high again. As penalty advantage rolling away. A wide from Carter Gordon, finds Van Neck. Let's get 2, 3. No halfback. As Taglielli fills in. And Velatapui to Rauren. Looking for, takes on Burns. Met well.
Sensible to take the...
As Gordon, short ball for Tapui lost.
BBC will back themselves whenever they have clean ball, Nick. We've seen that they can attack from long range. They're certainly not lost for opportunities, but I think the clock will just run out on them.
Now, tactically right here, I think they will have time to set the line out if they do kick for touch. But with the inconsistency they've had in winning their own line-out ball, maybe they're better suited to take a quick tap in that position.
I agree with you, Nick. The other important consideration as well, unfortunately, no bonus point structure at all in the GPS rugby competition. So whether they lose by 1 or they lose by 100, no bonus points. So a loss is a loss for BBC. So they're chasing 0 points at this stage,
Gordon
unfortunately.
takes on the line, feeds Raren. Oh, Southport all over the ball, and they've won it back. A kicking touch should do it for this one. Thumping tackle there. Asperata boots in touch. And that is full time. Southport School, with all the pressure in the world on them this week, they've pulled out a clutch victory, 37-29, to keep their season alive. Rob Matthews, what did you think of that game? Let's go through it one more time.
I thought it was a cracker, Nick. I really enjoyed it. That first half especially, we saw some brilliant attacking play from the Southport School. BBC were frustrated and they didn't get the opportunity to pull the trigger on these skills and abilities that we know they have in it, but we saw a bit of that in the second half. Yeah,
the efficiency of Southport's attack in that first half, where they just buried BBC under a mountain of points, it did the damage, and then it was just too late for BBC as they did mount a comeback of sorts. Just wasn't enough to get there in the end.
A comeback of sorts on the scoreboard as well, but it'll come back in the territory figures. You know, those were much more dominant, much more so in Southport's favour earlier on in the match, and it's ended in the second half. So BBC, they were able to certainly give them the opportunities in the second half. They took a couple of them, they missed a couple as well, but it was just too much of a hill to climb.
And it's not like BBC's season is over by no means at all. Is that this, with one loss to their name, they can afford, well, I guess they cannot afford now. This is their last lifeline has been earned. They've got to go undefeated for the rest of the season if they want to have any claim to holding a share of the GPS trophy. Absolutely right, Nick. But we know they're a skilled side. We know they can do that. They just shouldn't be giving away 14 penalties in a match in the future if they're going to want to have opportunities to challenge for the premiership, even a tied premiership. Well, as we look back through the highlights, Rob, do you want to talk us through this one? Mate, early try. What about this offload out the back from Nyamanu? That was absolutely outstanding. That really gave us the opportunity for Bowie Bowen to get over the line early. Yeah, the 16-year first season of the first team, but Southport School in this red zone so dangerous. As Max Dowd feeds Parada, wide pass again to Tyrell Kapua, popping up Reno Gerard to get a simple score. How good is rugby? Triple cutout, two pulp forwards combining out wide to score the try. And the tight head scrum win here as Noel Alessio has his turn firing a wide pass over for Lotte None to score his try. Now this is my favourite of the match. Colin Imanu in space, look at him go, the big goosies, that left-hand fan all needs to get rid of Max Dowd. Absolutely score right. A wonderful try. It wasn't all Southport's way, and we saw it with that try, and we saw it here as well. Well worked by the BBC. They were a little bit more patient here. Big men and that offload out the back was absolutely outstanding, and there were men in the pocket to spare. And this one here denied, of course, by the referee, but gee, it was a great try. I would have loved to see it awarded. As quick hands from Bowie Bowen finds us young Stevens on the wing, and this grubber through and chase effort. I'm not convinced he dropped that one, Rob. It was denied, not by the referee, Nick. No try, unfortunately, for BBC, but it was a fantastic effort. This was a little more successful. Yeah, of course. Beautiful work there. And the final try for BBC, just to bring some back. Tom Kibble sliding underneath, almost between the legs of Egan Siggs from Southport School. Kibble was excellent today, a true captain's knock. He was in everything. He's clearly a strong young man. Very well led, and very good skills from him as well across the park. I think for me, Rob, it feels like the Southport School throughout that match, there were no individual standouts per se. It felt like a very cohesive team performance where maybe you could point out the play of Campbell Prada from kicking boot and his general passing as maybe your man of the match candidate, but it was a great all-round performance from School as a team. Absolutely right, Nick. They were here at Miskin Oval for BBC in Toowong. They were disciplined, they kept their structures, and I think Coach Wallace, after we saw him earlier and said he was a passenger, I think he'll be a very, very happy passenger. It was a very strong, very disciplined performance by the South School, and so now they'll be looking to next week. They've got another job to do next week when they take on a very good Gregory Terrace side. Yeah, another road trip up the M1 to Brisbane. Not the easiest thing to do week in, week out. Of course, Southport are well used to that by now. Gregory Terrace, team that show they have that great defensive capability against Churchy. Even though their attacks have been spluttering in recent weeks, if they can get it, the Terrace one of the most dangerous sides in this competition.
Absolutely right. We've seen some of their big guns have misfired at various points, and they're still there or thereabouts and well and truly in contention. So they can do some damage. As can Ippy Grammar. We saw last week that they upset this impressive Southport school side. Can they be giant killers again next week when they take on Nudgee College? This time, they get the advantage of being at home.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Rob. Giant killers indeed, and Nudgee will have to be on their game absolutely if they're going to pull out, retain their undefeated season.
As will BBC. They go up the mountain. They take on Toowoomba in Toowoomba, which itself is never an easy ask. And we saw last week that Toowoomba Grammar, they can really match it with the best of them, and they have a very good defensive unit, which will counter well against BBC's strong backline attack. And
then rounding out round 5 of the Queensland First 15 GPS competition will be State High hosting Anglican Church Grammar School, better known as Churchy.
Yep, it's a battle out at Thurston Road, Carina. We've just had word come in as well. Gregory Terrace have knocked off Ippy Grammar School 29 points to 19. So that's a strong win for Terrace. Ippy weren't able to make it two in 2 weeks after the potential hangover from a really strong result last week. So that keeps Terrace well and truly in contention. So it makes that top fixture we've got on the screen next week even all more juicy.
It is a juicy round. A great way to describe it, Rob Matthews. I've been Nick Darvaniza. Rob Matthews, thank you so much for being with me in this commentary. We've really enjoyed bringing this game and how good it is schoolboy footy. Thank you for joining in Double Take Live. Rob, any additional plugs you want before we end it today?
Mate, no plug. I thought it was a game that was well played, both sides. Everyone chanced that it was played in good spirit, both in terms of the rules and infractions, but also just in terms of playing rugby. This game didn't slow down. Both teams threw whatever weapons they had at each other, and we ended up with what was a high-scoring game. I mean, 29 points by BBC is not to be sneezed at. It was just unfortunate for them that they had a good Southport school opposition that put on 37, and many of them through the boot of Parata. So we saw in the highlights, BBC got a lot of tries in towards the end of the game. It wasn't enough, but it was a great game, played in good spirit by two good sides. Referee Toomey was kept busy, but I thought he communicated clearly with the players. His standards were well communicated, well known, and it's what allowed us that open game. So it was, as far as I'm concerned, it's a spectacle. As we see there, a beautiful shot as well of Miskin Oval. Schoolboy rugby, it's just a fantastic asset. It's a fantastic good story for Australian rugby, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here, Nick, commentating with you. It was a great game.
And if you want any more of it, ladies and gentlemen, same time, same days next week, we'll take live on Facebook and on YouTube for the next instalment of the Queensland GPS First 15 competition. That's it from us at Miskin Street, and we hope to see you again very shortly. Thank you very much.